Welcome back, my friend. Tonight, we return to London in the year 1640, when silence begins to break and long-suppressed voices fill the streets. Parliament has returned. The king feels his authority slipping, and the city slowly chooses where it stands as peace gives way to dangerous uncertainty. Settle in, breathe slowly, and let history carry you toward sleep. Subscribe to Deep Sleep Storytelling for more peaceful journeys through history, science, and the mysteries of the sea.
When voices could no longer whisper. Settle deeper into your bed, my friend. Let the room grow quiet around you. Let your thoughts slow, like a river widening as it nears the sea. Tonight, London begins to change in a way it has not changed for generations. Not through fire, not through plague, but through voices. The year is 1640. Parliament has returned, and with it, words long held back now press urgently into the open air. For more than a decade, London learned how to live with silence. A king ruling alone. Decisions flowing downward like sealed letters, never opened for discussion. People adapted, as cities always do, but silence, once stretched too long, begins to tear. A city filled with words. Almost overnight, London fills with speech. Not shouting at first, not chaos, just talk. Talk in taverns, where ale mugs rest half forgotten. Talk in markets, where bargaining pauses mid-sentence. Talk in churches where sermons grow longer and more pointed. Talk in workshops where tools slow as debates begin. Pamphlets appear everywhere. Thin sheets of paper, cheaply printed, dangerously powerful. They argue about taxes and about religion, about law, about kingship itself. Londoners read them by candlelight. They fold them into coats. They pass them hand to hand. They whisper their contents late into the night. Words once confined to Parliament halls now walk freely through the streets. Parliament finds its voice. Inside Westminster, Parliament wastes no time. Grievances spill forth like water breaking through a dam. Illegal taxes, religious reforms imposed without consent, courts used to silence critics, citizens imprisoned without trial. Speakers rise one after another, not with fury, but with determination sharpened by years of frustration. London listens closely. Messengers carry summaries across the city. Printers rush to meet demand. Citizens gather in small knots to discuss what they have heard. For the first time in years, people feel included in the direction of the kingdom. This feeling is intoxicating. The king feels the shift. Charles I senses the ground moving beneath him. He expected negotiation. He did not expect resistance this firm. From Whitehall Palace, he watches Parliament challenge his authority piece by piece. Not violently, not rebelliously, at least not yet, but persistently. Each demand feels to him like a crack in the sacred order he believes he protects. To Charles, the crown is not a contract. It is a calling, a responsibility granted by God, not debated by men. This difference in belief will soon become impossible to bridge. London chooses sides quietly. The city does not divide overnight. There are no banners yet, no barricades, no marching armies. Instead, London divides at dinner tables. A merchant supports Parliament because taxes have drained his trade. A noble supports the king out of loyalty and tradition. A preacher urges reform. Another warns against chaos. Families avoid certain topics to keep peace. Friends choose words carefully. Some conversations end early. London remains outwardly calm, but inwardly it is choosing. And once choices are made, they rarely remain private for long. Religion sharpens the divide. Religion, already strained, now tightens like a rope pulled from both ends. Puritan voices grow louder, calling for simpler worship, cleaner churches, stricter morality. They see Parliament as protection against royal interference. Others fear these voices just as much as royal authority. They worry that reform will strip beauty, ritual, and stability from the church. Sermons become battlegrounds of meaning. One church praises obedience, another praises conscience. Both claim divine approval. Londoners attend services not just for prayer, but to listen for alignment. Faith, once personal, becomes political. The streets remain ordinary, and yet life continues. Fishmongers still shout prices. Bakers still rise before dawn. Children still chase one another between stalls. The Thames still carries ships beneath bridges darkened by age. This contrast feels strange. A city on the edge of upheaval still smells of bread and river water, still laughs, still sleeps. History rarely announces itself with trumpets. More often, it arrives quietly, while ordinary life pretends nothing is wrong. London has learned this lesson many times. Fear moves beneath curiosity. As weeks pass, curiosity begins to mingle with fear. What if Parliament goes too far? What if the king refuses compromise? What if words turn into force? Londoners remember past unrest. They remember how quickly order can unravel. But no one wants conflict, not merchants, not craftsmen, not families. They want balance, they want security. They want to believe that reason will prevail. Hope clings tightly to the city. A city that can no longer go back. By the end of 1640, one truth becomes clear. London cannot return to silence. Too many words have been spoken. Too many ideas shared. Too many questions asked. Even if Parliament dissolved tomorrow, even if the king reclaimed full authority, something fundamental has changed. The city has learned how powerful voices can be when they move together. London has tasted participation, and history never forgets that taste. Let this moment rest gently in your mind. A city lit by candlelight, reading pamphlets in quiet rooms. A king watching from his palace, uncertain. A parliament, speaking with long-restrained conviction. A population listening, choosing, awakening. This is not yet war, but it is no longer peace. London stands at the threshold. Breathe slowly. Let the city fade into soft darkness. The long parliament settles in. Lie back comfortably, my friend. Let your breathing grow slow and even. Tonight we remain in London as words begin to stay longer than anyone expected. The year is still 1640. Parliament has not only returned, it has decided to remain. What was once called for necessity now stretches into permanence. Debates do not end. Sessions do not close. The city slowly realizes that this parliament is not passing through history. It is settling into it. London feels the difference immediately. A parliament that refuses to leave. In earlier times, parliaments gathered briefly. They addressed urgent needs and they approved taxes and they dissolved. This time is different. Week after week, members remain in Westminster. Benches stay occupied. Candles burn late into the night. Papers pile up on desks like fallen leaves. Londoners begin calling it the Long Parliament, not as a joke, as an observation. The name carries weight. A parliament that stays means a parliament that intends to change things. And change, even peaceful change, unsettles a city. London adjusts to political presence. The physical presence of Parliament reshapes daily life. Inns fill with members and their attendants. Stables grow crowded. Food prices rise slightly as demand increases. Printers work without rest, feeding a hunger for information that never seems satisfied. London becomes a city that talks about politics as easily as it talks about weather. Conversations drift from crops to court cases, from trade routes to royal authority, from sermons to statutes. The city does not feel radical. It feels alert, like someone who's been asleep too long and is now fully awake. Laws that begin to unravel the past. Parliament moves carefully at first. It does not strike at the king directly. Instead, it removes the tools he used. Courts that allowed imprisonment without trial are abolished. Taxes imposed without consent are challenged. Officials associated with harsh enforcement are investigated. Each decision is debated slowly, deliberately. London watches as laws, once feared, begin to lose their power. Some feel relief, others feel concern. If old authority dissolves, what replaces it? The city senses that removing weight from one side of a scale does not automatically bring balance. The king grows uneasy. Charles I observes these developments with growing discomfort. To him, Parliament oversteps. It reaches into areas he considers sacred. It questions authority that he believes comes from divine order, not popular agreement. The king listens, but he does not yield. Inside his chambers, frustration builds quietly. Charles is not a man of compromise by instinct. He believes deeply in structure, hierarchy, and order. Parliament's actions feel less like reform and more like erosion. Each law passed without his enthusiastic consent sharpens the divide. London can feel this tension without seeing it. The streets begin to polarize. Although violence does not erupt, opinions harden. Certain taverns attract royal supporters. Others welcome parliamentarians. Some churches preach obedience. Others preach accountability. People choose spaces carefully. A craftsman might avoid a familiar inn. A merchant might lower his voice at market. A family might change where they worship. London does not fracture physically yet, but mentally lines begin to form. Quiet lines, invisible ones, and invisible lines can be the hardest to cross. The army question emerges. One question begins to echo more than others. Who controls the army? In a peaceful kingdom, this question barely matters. In a tense one, it matters deeply. Parliament fears that the king might use soldiers to silence debate. The king fears that Parliament might strip him of his rightful command. London understands the danger instinctively. A city remembers what armed authority can do when unchecked. Rumors spread. Plans are whispered. Speculation grows. Yet still the streets remain calm. This calm feels thinner now, like glass stretched across rising pressure. Ordinary life continues carefully. Despite everything, daily routines persist. Bakers knead dough before dawn. Fishmongers call out prices along the river. Children run errands through narrow streets. The Thames carries boats as it always has. But people listen differently now. Every shout, every bell, every sudden gathering draws attention. Londoners move with a subtle awareness that history is nearby, not in the distance, not in books, but close enough to brush against them. Hope and fear walk together. For many, this moment brings hope, a belief that England might become more just, that power might be shared, that voices might matter. For others, fear grows quietly, a fear that tradition will collapse, that order will dissolve, that restraint will give way to chaos. London holds both emotions at once. It has learned that hope and fear are not opposites. They are companions, and both are awake now. The Long Parliament becomes the new normal. As months pass, the extraordinary becomes ordinary. The Long Parliament simply exists. London adjusts its rhythms around it. Schedules adapt, businesses shift. Conversations assume politics as a constant presence. What once felt temporary now feels permanent, and permanence changes expectations. A city that expects change prepares for consequences. Let this moment settle gently in your mind. A parliament that refuses to leave. A king growing distant and defensive. a city listening more carefully than ever before, a balance slowly tipping, though no one yet knows how far it will fall. London is no longer waiting. It is watching. Rest now with that image. Rumors from across the water. Settle a little deeper, my friend. Let your shoulders soften. Let your breath slow until it feels almost weightless. Tonight, London begins to hear voices, not from its own streets, but from across the sea. The year is 1641. Parliament continues its long sessions. The king remains distant. The city listens. And then, news arrives from Ireland. A whisper becomes a murmur. At first, the reports are uncertain. Merchants speak of unrest. Sailors mention disturbances near ports. Letters arrive with hurried writing and uneven ink. Something is happening in Ireland. Land disputes, religious tension. Old wounds reopening. London does not yet panic. It has heard rumors before. Empires always tremble at their edges. But these whispers do not fade. They multiply. Each retelling adds urgency. Each voice carries more concern than the last. Soon, London realizes that this is not a passing disturbance. Fear travels faster than truth. As the news spreads, details blur. Some say landowners have been attacked. Others speak of churches burned. Some claim order has collapsed entirely. Few of these stories are confirmed. But fear does not wait for confirmation. Londoners gather in taverns and homes, trying to separate truth from exaggeration. They fail more often than they succeed. Fear travels faster than facts. Always has. Always will. And in a city already tense, fear finds fertile ground. Parliament faces a new question. Inside Westminster, the mood shifts. Ireland now demands attention, and with attention comes decision. Parliament debates how to respond. Should troops be raised? Who should command them? Who should pay for them? The questions are dangerous because they strike at power itself. An army requires leadership. Leadership requires trust. And trust between king and parliament is thin. London understands this without needing explanation. An army raised for Ireland could just as easily be turned elsewhere. The thought lingers quietly, but firmly. The city feels the pull of anxiety. Walk with me through London tonight. Notice how conversations pause when Ireland is mentioned, how faces tighten slightly, how voices lower. Instinctively, mothers worry about sons, merchants worry about trade routes, clergy worry about faith and order. Ireland feels far away on the map, but emotionally it feels close, too close. London senses that events there could pull the entire kingdom into something larger, something darker. The king and parliament drift further apart, Charles I insists that he must control any army sent to Ireland. To him, this is natural. The king commands. Others advise. Parliament disagrees. They argue that trust has been strained, that unchecked power is dangerous, that safeguards are necessary. The debate is not loud. It is measured, formal, respectful on the surface. But beneath the words lies deep suspicion. London feels the distance widening like a slow crack in ice. Pamphlets feed the fire. Printers work tirelessly. Pamphlets now focus less on taxes and courts and more on fear. They warn of conspiracies. They accuse hidden enemies. They speculate wildly about intentions. Some defend the king, some defend Parliament. Many simply inflame anxiety. Londoners read them anyway. They cannot look away. A city surrounded by uncertainty will cling to any scrap of explanation, no matter how flawed. Ordinary life grows heavier. Daily routines continue, but they feel heavier now. The baker kneads dough while listening for news. The dock worker unloads cargo while scanning faces for worry. The shopkeeper counts coins while wondering if peace will last. Children sense the shift, even if they do not understand it. They notice quieter dinners, more serious expressions, adults pausing mid-sentence. London does not erupt into chaos, but the ease of life has faded. The city carries its days with more care. The grand remonstrance takes shape. As winter approaches, Parliament compiles its grievances into a long document, a list of complaints, a record of wrongs, a demand for reform. This document will later be known as the Grand Remonstrance. At this moment, it is simply paper, ink, words, but London senses its importance. A written challenge to royal authority is not easily forgotten. When copies circulate, people read, slowly, carefully, sometimes in silence. Each point feels like a stone added to an already heavy scale. London stands between two fears. The city now balances between two anxieties: fear of unchecked monarchy, fear of disorder unleashed. Neither option feels safe. Londoners want stability, they want fairness, they want peace, but peace feels fragile, like glass held between trembling hands. The night grows longer. As 1641 draws toward its end, nights feel longer. Candles burn later. Conversations stretch into darkness. Sleep comes less easily. The city is thinking. Thinking is exhausting, and yet unavoidable. London has reached a moment where awareness cannot be undone. The future presses closer with every passing day. Let this moment rest softly in your mind. A city listening to rumors carried by wind and water. A parliament preparing its case. A king holding firmly to authority. A population caught between fear and hope. London is no longer merely observing history. It is being pulled into it. Breathe slowly now. Let the city fade gently into the dark. the day the king entered the city. Lie back gently, my friend. Let your breath slow and deepen. Tonight we come to a moment when London feels history step directly onto its streets. Not as rumor, not as distant news, but as a presence walking among the people. The year is 1642. Winter still clings to the city, cold and gray. Parliament debates continue. Tension thickens like fog along the Thames. And then the king decides to act. A decision made in silence. Charles I believes authority is slipping from his hands. Pamphlets circulate freely. Parliament challenges him openly. The city listens more to Westminster than to Whitehall. To the king, this feels dangerous. Not just politically, but morally. Order must be restored. Control must be reasserted. Quietly, he resolves to confront the situation directly. 5 members of Parliament are accused of treason. The names circulate in whispers before they are spoken aloud. No one knows exactly what will happen next. London senses the shift before it sees it. The streets stir. On the morning the king moves toward Westminster, the city feels different. People gather without being told to gather. Shops open more slowly. Voices lower. Eyes watch the roads leading toward Parliament. Word travels faster than footsteps. The king is coming. Not in ceremony, not in celebration, but with purpose. London holds its breath. Westminster watches. Inside the House of Commons, members sense danger. Friends warn one another. Doors open and close quietly. The accused members slip away before the king arrives. By the time Charles steps into the chamber, they are gone. The moment is tense, unprecedented. A king entering the House of Commons is rare. A king searching for members is unheard of. London knows instinctively that something sacred has been crossed. The silence that follows. Charles looks around the chamber. He sees empty seats. He realizes what has happened. No arrests are made, no violence erupts. But the silence is heavy. When the king withdraws, the echo of his footsteps lingers like a question with no answer. London understands the meaning immediately. Trust has been broken. The city reacts. Outside Westminster, the city shifts. People speak openly now, not loudly, but clearly. Some defend the king. They argue that order must be preserved, that authority must stand firm. Others defend Parliament. They argue that liberty has been threatened, that the king has overreached. The divide that once felt theoretical now feels personal. London is no longer neutral ground. The river fills with movement. Along the Thames, boats move quickly. Messages travel. People cross from one side of the city to the other. News spreads like ripples on water. The river becomes a highway of uncertainty. London feels awake, alert, uneasy. This is no longer a debate contained within halls of power. It has stepped into the streets. The king leaves London. Soon after, Charles I departs the city. He does not flee, he withdraws, but his absence speaks loudly. A king leaving his capital at such a moment sends a message no proclamation can soften. London watches him go with mixed emotion, relief, fear, sadness, resolve. The city senses that something essential has ended. Parliament claims the city. With the king gone, Parliament's influence grows. Militias organize. Guards are posted. The city prepares, not for war yet, but for uncertainty. London does not panic. It prepares. People understand instinctively that cities survive by readiness. Daily life. Under watchful eyes. Even as guards appear at gates and bridges, daily life continues. Bread is baked. Goods are traded. Children play. But every sound carries weight now. Footsteps echo louder. Shouts travel farther. Silence feels intentional. London lives inside a pause. A city that knows it has chosen. By the end of that winter, London understands something quietly but clearly. It has aligned itself more closely with Parliament. Not because it hates the king, but because it fears unchecked power. This choice is not shouted. It is lived in conversations, in actions, in preparation. London has stepped onto a path it cannot easily leave. Let this moment settle gently in your mind. A king walking into Parliament and finding absence instead of obedience. A city watching its ruler depart. A capital learning that neutrality has limits. A quiet crossing from tension into transformation. This is not yet war, but it is no longer peace. Breathe slowly now. Let the city fade into soft darkness.
And so, my friend, we leave London standing at the edge of a dangerous new chapter. Parliament has found its voice. The king has crossed a boundary that cannot easily be repaired, and the city, once cautious and divided, has begun to choose where its loyalty will rest. The streets are still calm. The river still moves beneath the bridges. At peace has grown fragile, and London can no longer pretend that nothing has changed. Rest now, and let the city fade into darkness. In part 2, London will prepare itself for war,